Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Last weekend saw the Rome E-Prix and a hell of a lot of action. The 2021 Formula E Series is proving to be as unpredictable as ever, and we saw some good drivers suffer. So today, at just under the halfway point in the series, let's take a look at the best 5 Formula E drivers who are struggling in 2021. This isn't just the drivers who fill the bottom 5 places in the championship standings. What drivers did we expect to be doing better at this point in the championship? Who has really suffered deeply over the first 4 races of Formula E in 2021? So remember to subscribe and let's begin.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
Nick Cassidy. I had high hopes for Cassidy. I've watched him for a long time, all the way back to his time in European Formula 3, when he finished 4th for Prema, behind future Formula 1 stars Lance Stroll and George Russell, as well as Formula E compatriot Maximilian Günther. Since then, I've watched him succeed in Japan, taking a Super GT and a Super Formula title. He's someone I would shout to the heavens about deserving a Formula 1 drive. The Red Bull-backed Cassidy deserves a Toro Rosso seat one day. And I was really excited when he was announced to be replacing Sam Bird at Virgin. I thought he would be able to showcase his talents in Formula E. Unfortunately, in the first 4 races, that has not happened. He should have scored points in the second race in Saudi Arabia, but hadn't used his second attack mode when the red flags came out. Then, after only finishing 15th in race 1 at Rome, he did the unthinkable and qualified on pole. Now surely he can kick on and show these punks what he's made of. Well, it looks like a software issue caused him to spin. He recovered, but then contact with Oliver Rowland ended his race. And after 4 races, Cassidy has scored 3 points for a single pole position. Maybe he just needs more time, and the pace is clearly there, but his luck isn't there right now. Hopefully he can pick up some meaningful points before the year is out. Sebastien Buemi. Watch my prediction video. Buemi was my pick to be champion in 2021. He has won more Formula E races than any other driver, more than Verne, more than Bird, and more than Degrassi. He's a 3-time 24 Hours of Le Mans winner and is the 2021 Red Bull Formula 1 reserve driver, despite not racing in Formula 1 for 10 years after his 3-year stint with Toro Rosso. But I should have seen the warning signs. 12 of his Formula E wins came in the first 3 seasons of Formula E existing. In the 3 and a bit years since, he has only won 1 race. He didn't score any points in Saudi Arabia, but did better in Rome. He scored a good 5th place in the first race, but that was helped by Lucas Degrassi breaking down and both Mercedes crashing out of the race. If they had not, and one event did lead to the other, then Sebastien Buemi would only have finished in 8th. In the second race he started and finished 10th. So he has scored 11 points this year, but I expect better from Sebastien Buemi. So is the problem Nissan? Well, maybe. They certainly haven't stuck out as a front-running team, but Oliver Rowland has put in some quality performances and is above Sebastien Buemi at the moment. So maybe the series has just moved away from Sebastien Buemi. He's still got plenty going on and is a very successful race driver, but for the sake of my predictions, I really hope he improves. Antonio Felix da Costa. I didn't know what to expect from the 2020 champion. Last year I said he'd finish 16th and he went on to win the whole damn show. Apart from a couple of Macau Grand Prix, he had never really won anything. Meanwhile, teammate Jean-Eric Verne was a 2-time champion and the more obvious choice for championship success. But when the dust settled, it was da Costa on top. This made it even harder to predict what he was going to do in 2021. Was he a title contender or a one-hit wonder? Well, he seems to have settled back into being a midfield runner. He hasn't qualified higher than 10th, and despite finishing 3rd in the second Saudi Arabia race, even after contact with teammate Verne, and a 7th in the second race in Rome, he's only 10th in the standings so far. There's plenty of time for him to get a win or 2 and catapult himself up the leaderboard, but he needs to do better in qualifying, because starting every race in the packed midfield of Formula E is a recipe for disaster. There is almost always contact at the start of races, and da Costa can't afford to miss out on any more points. If he wants to retain his championships, da Costa needs a win and more consistency in the final 6 races. Andre Lotterer. This is Lotterer's 4th season in Formula E, and he has finished the last 3 in 8th place in the final standings. Even when he was racing for the mighty Techeetah team, Lotterer never managed to actually win a race, but did grab 4 podiums and was a consistent ever-present near the front of the field, helping Techeetah win the Constructors' Championship. In both years Lotterer raced for the team. Signing on with Porsche was a way to break out on his own. He got a 2nd place on their debut in the series as well as a 2nd place in Berlin, but once again Andre Lotterer only managed to finish in 8th place. So with Porsche having a year's experience under their belt and a driver of Andre Lotterer's considerable talents, you'd expect both to be pushing for their first wins in Formula E, or at least scoring points for another competent mid-table finish. Instead, Lotterer is currently 23rd of 24 drivers. Only Jake Dennis is behind him in the standings, a driver who is still in nappies compared to Lotterer. He's had penalties that haven't helped, but after qualifying 2nd for race 1 in Rome, he then crashed into Van Dorn and dropped them both back. So far then, no points, and a best finish of 11th place. Not good for a former Formula 1 driver, multi-Le Mans winner, with Super GT and Super Formula Championship wins as well. Maybe it's just a bad year, but so far teammate Pascal Wehrlein is killing him in the point standings. Lucas Degrassi, one of the greatest drivers in the series' short history, a man who played a big part in the creation and early days of Formula E, one who may be participating for the last time with Audi leaving, unless someone else snaps him up of course. Lucas Degrassi is a former champion who has won 10 races in Formula E. Even if Audi aren't going 100% with one eye on the exit door, Lucas Degrassi is a driver you'd expect to perform, to be competing right at the front. He did score points at both Saudi Arabia races, although only an 8th and a 9th. And I thought the 6 points scored would be a standard set throughout the year, consistently scoring the odd points here and there, just enough as not to embarrass Audi. But he seemed to be back to form in Rome. He led after Van Dorn and Lotterer tripped over each other, and spent the race fighting with Jean-Eric Vergne like old times. But then he made contact with De Vries after taking his attack mode before fighting back past Jean-Eric Vergne. Sadly, with only a few laps left, Lucas Degrassi would hit trouble, with a driveshaft issue causing him to slow, taking out both Mercedes drivers for good measure. In race 2 he was further back when Buemi sent him into the wall. The two do have a history for such a thing, but 2 retirements in Rome leave Degrassi in 18th place in the standings. Not how he will want to end his time in Formula E with Audi. So there are 5 drivers who are struggling in Formula E in 2021. Honestly, it's a bit early to be doing this sort of thing. There have only been 2 rounds and 4 races, but it's been a strange and unpredictable series so far, and a lot of good drivers are near the bottom of the standings who you maybe wouldn't expect to be there. Remember to subscribe, as we will be looking at the drivers who are flying high in the series later in the week, as well as a preview for the 2021 IndyCar series, which starts this weekend, and of course there'll be a review of the Imola Grand Prix, when Formula 1 returns on Sunday. I make 2 or 3 videos a week, and so far this year I've had a huge surge in subscribers, so make sure you hit that button if you haven't. Leave a comment, a like and a share. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.